Good evening, everyone. I'm Ayman Mohyeddin. We begin this hour with the chaos and confusion brought on by President Trump's trade war. 1 week after Donald Trump announced the tariff policy that subsequently sent markets into a tailspin, created mass panic among the American public, and threatened to upend global trade, today, the president blinked and backed down, posting on Truth Social that he would pause the tariffs for most countries for the next 90 days, with the exception of China, raising tariffs on its exports to a total of 125% for retaliating. Of course, this announcement caused the markets to rebound and recover some of its historic losses. The Dow was back over 40,000 today at closing. Now, it is certainly not the first time that the president has reversed course on a crisis of his own making. But it's not entirely clear what ultimately changed his mind. In that Truth Social post, the president claimed that the move was based on the fact that 75 countries had called him to discuss trade with the United States. But it also comes after Trump has faced a lot of pushback to his tariff policy, including from political allies, like some Elon Musk. Some business leaders were even warning of a potential recession. Not to mention, there was a sharp sell-off in the bond markets this morning. And when asked about the about face that the president did just this afternoon, here is what he had to say.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know. They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
And while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent claims that this was actually the president's strategy all along, let's not forget that just 24 hours ago, this is what Donald Trump was saying.
I do think that the war with the world, which is not a war at all, because they're all coming here. Japan is coming here as we speak. They're in a plane flying, lots of them, all tough negotiators. But things that people wouldn't have given us 2 years ago, wouldn't have even thought of it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7, they're giving us everything. They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals, and people are paying tariffs. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping.
And as recently as this morning, Trump was digging in, posting on his social media site to, quote, be cool, insisting that everything is going to work out well, even telling people this is a great time to buy, just hours before announcing the pause. Joining me now is Ali Velshi, host of Velshi right here on MSNBC, Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor for Bloomberg Opinion and an MSNBC political analyst, and our good friend Molly Jong-Fast, Vanity Fair special correspondent, MSNBC contributor. All our good friends, I should note. I didn't just mean to imply that just for Molly, but everyone here is a good friend. Let me start with you, Tim, and get your thoughts on two things that I want to put up. The post of Donald Trump at 9:37 a.m. saying, time to buy, and at the same time, Trump then, the tariff post coming in about 1:18, and you see the surge there of that. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I just want to get your reaction to that. And the way that this day unfolded, the way the markets reacted, more importantly, the timing of this.
Well, I mean, at a minimum, it's grossly negligent. You've got the President of the United States who wields vast influence over financial markets, people's perception of financial markets, and people's perception of what he might do, because his policies have such an impact on financial markets, is stoking speculative sentiment, which is not something anyone in the Oval Office would have done like this prior to Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump, the showman. It's Donald Trump, the irresponsible juvenile delinquent, toying with the American economy, toying with financial markets, toying with people's wallets, people's retirement accounts, their mortgages, their savings accounts, their credit cards, on down the line, because he doesn't ultimately care about how it affects other people. He cares about how he's perceived. I don't think other countries lobbying him about tariffs is what changed his mind. I suspect financiers and Wall Street professionals got in his ear about the stresses that were in the bond market, the complete chaos that were in the equity markets, and saying if this goes any further, it's not just a recession you're going to kick off single-handedly. It could be a depression. And with that, all of the attendant dislocations around national security and ultimately what it would mean for the Republicans at the polls. And I think it took too long for that to happen. I think the GOP itself is shaken up by it. You wouldn't have Republicans in the Senate trying to rein in the president's tariff powers, with possible defections from the House as well, unless the party was recognizing they were going to pay a price at the polls.
Ali, I'm not the only one asking these questions today. Senator Adam Schiff has already begun raising concerns about insider trading. Let's take a listen and get your reaction on the other side.
There is just all too much opportunity for people in the White House and the administration to be insider trading, and you can't put it past them for a minute. We can look at eventually what people are buying and selling. This will come out, but an administration that has their own meme coins and is already engaged in self-interested dealing when Elon is doging agencies that are doing oversight of his own businesses, in that kind of corrupt climate, you have to assume the worst, and we're going to try to find out.
How does that come out, Ali? How do we begin to find out what actually happened, if anything, here? I mean, the Democrats don't have the power right now to launch these types of investigations, and certainly we're going to rely on good journalism in the coming weeks and perhaps months to find out if there was anything nefarious happening. But how does this come out from a political reality?
I don't know what they've done with the Securities and Exchange Commission, but they've actually got super sophisticated software to be able to figure this stuff out within seconds. So if people were trading inappropriately, that will be understood. You'd have to figure out a pattern here, and that's the important part. This is actually chaos. The White House today, Scott Bessent, the White House press secretary, they all described this as the art of the deal and fancy negotiations. This is BS. Not only were they endangering the American economy, and just be clear about this, there are people who are 60 years old or 65 or 70 or 75 who looked at this market and said, I don't have the stomach or the range of life for this. People sold their stock into a falling market in the last few days. That money will never come back for them, number one. So this is really real. There are people who were importing goods, small businesses, who then had to pay these tariffs and have to decide whether they're passing them on. And if the tariffs disappear all of a sudden, they're stuck with goods that they've paid extra for. So this is not an abstraction. But more importantly, as you know, we've had inflation for a few years, and the way to fight that is you keep interest rates high. It discourages an economy from overheating, and you slow the economy down, you bring inflation down. It's largely worked. When you have a recession, you take interest rates all the way down, make money cheap to borrow, and people start to borrow it, and they spend it. So we can fix a recession almost 100% of the time. Inflation's a little trickier, but it's the opposite thing you do. Donald Trump just talked about this big delegation coming from Japan. I think all of us of a certain age remember that Japan was going to be the most important economy on earth. When we were kids, not you, Eamon, you're too young, but when we were kids, everything you bought said made in Japan. We were sure Japan was going to be the most important thing in the world. And then they ran into this. They had a recession and inflation at the same time. Economically unsolvable for a decade. And it wrecked Japan for the rest of time. This is not playing around the edges. And by the way, we're supposedly in a national emergency. The reason he did all this is for national security. What's the national security? You put 50% tariffs on Lesotho. All they send us is jeans. Like, what's the national security? I mean, this is such BS, Eamon. And you and I have been in touch. I've been out of the country. I have been dying to get back here to just help people understand that this is nonsense. Listen to nothing that comes out of the White House or the Treasury Secretary or the Commerce Secretary. It's all nonsense.